What's up, you guys? It's me, Tone Classic. This is so strange because I haven't done it in so long. First of all, I have a pimple patch on and I tried a new leave-in conditioner that is, as you can see, showing up white in my hair. Whatever, I'm human. Okay, it's my first time on this planet. Let's just give me some grace there. There's a lot of things I want to talk about in this video, but I also don't want to bore anyone to death. So I'm going to be mindful of that. First, hello, how is everybody? I'm sure if anybody is still subscribed and has their notifications on, you might get a blast like such and such posted a video and you might be like, what? But no, it is me and it is real. It's not AI. This is not AI, I promise. It's been a very long time since I posted on YouTube. It's been a very long time since I've made any videos. Or actually, it hasn't been a long time since I made any videos. It's just been a long time since I've posted. I've recorded many videos over the past like 2 or 3 years since I've been gone. I just have never posted them. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, in terms of why I'm making this video now. I'm making this video now because, if you guys don't know, I live in New York now. And since being here, I've had a few encounters, more than 2, where I'm somewhere and someone recognizes me from the internet. Or I've also been on TikTok and people have come across my TikTok and been like, oh, I used to watch your videos. It makes me feel strange for stopping because I never really, of course I know people watch my videos. That's why I posted them. That's why I promoted them. But I never really thought that people, I don't know, it was just weird. It was weird to have people in real life, not on the internet, say, oh, I used to enjoy this thing that you used to do and then you stopped doing it, and I've wondered, how are you? Why did you stop doing this thing? And it just left me feeling strange and left me feeling like, okay, well, maybe there are some people that it's worth kind of touching base with, explaining things to. The internet is obviously a community, and I did build sort of a small community on YouTube. That's why I'm making this video now, because I felt like I keep having these encounters with people where they're like, oh, I used to watch you. Specifically, it was one person who was very young, and he was like, oh my gosh, I used to watch your videos or like your content and you're dope, keep doing what you're doing. And it's crazy because that's the reason why I started YouTube. I started YouTube because of the people that I used to watch, and I used to love their content, and I felt like there was a perspective that was slightly missing. And so that's why I started making videos, because I was like, I wanted to add something to the conversation and to that world that I felt like I wasn't seeing. And so to have people now think that to me made me feel a little bit old. I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel a little old, but it was really affirming, and it was just this weird full circle moment, this food chain moment. But some of the reasons why I stopped posting on YouTube as much were, as I got a little bit older, I became more private, and I began to kind of get involved in my career more. And YouTube takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and I just got to this point where I wanted to keep more of my life for myself. And I also felt like I saw other influencers that were much bigger than myself, and saw people, creators who kept going. I hate the word influencer. Creators who kept going and kept getting these bigger and bigger platforms. And then I saw the downfall, or I saw how the audience, the community online can switch so quickly. And now last week they loved you, and this week they hate you, and this week they're tearing you apart, and they're talking about your looks, and I've seen it happen, and that kind of used to freak me out. I was like, I don't. Maybe I'll stop before it gets to that point, inner saboteur or whatever you want to call it. But that I didn't like that. I never like when I see that. And of course, when people do things that are wrong and are held accountable, that's one thing. But I think we all know what I'm discussing, where the internet can be so fickle and change so quickly. One thing about my videos is I was always being myself. I was never being anything that I am not. The version of myself that I was on here is exactly who I am in my day-to-day. To think that the pendulum could swing and everyone could be attacking me and tearing me apart for who I am, I didn't want to be a part of that. Looking back, that was kind of a fear I think I created in my head, because I think the space that I cultivate online is not of that energy, not that nature. So it's kind of like fear getting the best of me a little bit. I think another reason why I stopped creating as well on YouTube is because YouTube takes time, guys. Like, if you've made YouTube videos, this takes time, like to edit them, just to make sure everything is right. It's like you're producing, you're producing your own content. It takes time, especially if you want it to be aligned with your branding, and if you want the editing to somehow tie into and be funny and eventful, and it takes a lot of time. And I wasn't really ever making a ton of money from YouTube. I was really doing it because I enjoyed doing it. It got to the point where I was making some, but I was doing it because I enjoyed doing it. And once I started working more, I also had some family responsibilities and obligations that came to the forefront, where I was helping to take care of certain family members and being a caretaker, and it was taking a lot of time for me. And when I left my apartment to stay with family, to help family, my environment, your environment is a big part of creating, especially YouTube. Like my family home, it's a blessing, and I'm grateful for my family home, and I'm grateful for my family. But in terms of the space, it just was not conducive and inspiring for me to want to sit in front of a camera and record like I used to in my apartment. If you guys remember the videos I used to make in not this apartment, but the apartment I had like a couple years ago. And then I was in this weird space because I wanted to move right out of the city that I was living in. But I also was thinking, okay, I kind of want to get an apartment. I want to move out of this city, but I also want an apartment so I can get back to creating. But it didn't make sense to get an apartment. It made sense to stay where I was and save with family so that I could move. Anyways, I felt like my space was just not as conducive to creating content like it used to be, and neither was the amount of time that I had. My interests became different. Y'all know I used to make the makeup videos, and I used to do a lot of vlogs and stuff with friends. And as I got older, friendship dynamics changed. A lot of people that used to be in some of those vlogs, I'm not friends with anymore, and I don't hate them. They don't hate me. If I see them, I say hello, and vice versa, but we're just not close. And I became more protective and reverent over some of my close personal relationships, because I started to realize, I'm involving these people in my content and showcasing them to the people that I'm interacting with online as if, these people are a permanent part of my life. And I started to realize that some of the friends and people that I was showcasing, we were misaligned. There were misalignments. And that made me kind of anxious to then include more friends and showcase more people on this public platform, because I got sick of posting people and sharing, content with these people, and some of my watchers becoming familiar with certain people, and then realizing, okay, like, you're not my friend, or like, we're not aligned in a way that translates to longevity as far as this relationship goes. So I just pull back on including other people in my videos, and I don't really wear makeup like I used to. Things change. So I kind of stopped. But I never stopped recording videos. I've recorded a lot of things over the past couple of years. I just never posted them. And it was a little bit of, again, self-sabotage, because after you stop doing something for so long, you start to get nervous and scared about it. You start to wonder, can I still do this? Does anybody still care? If one person cares, that's the purpose of me making this video. Like I said, I know I was never this huge whatever on here, but some of these encounters that I've had have made me realize, okay, the original goal was to have an impact on someone. And I have had an impact. I've had such an impact to a certain extent that people have noticed my absence. For me, being on the other end, there's people that I like. I can think of two, three people right now that are not social media famous, but I personally liked their content. I personally, liked what they posted. I personally followed them and enjoyed what they decided to share with the world, and they vanished. And I have no one to ask. I have no way of finding, oh my gosh, is this person okay? Like, just, what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be like that. Now, of course, I still post on Instagram and other socials, so y'all know to an extent that I'm okay, but I get what it's like to be, a supporter of someone, and then they stop, and it's like, oh my goodness. I am interested in coming back to YouTube, and I don't want to make any promises on consistency and what that would look like, because I don't want to let anybody who's watching this down, and I don't want to let myself down. I do think that there's a way that I can continue to kind of share some of my experiences in my life and laugh and joke, and I wish I was more joking and laughing in this video, baby, but I've been gone so long, it's kind of like, girl, nothing's funny for real. Like, it's not funny. I have a lot of content that I've recorded, just I've never posted. So if you're interested, let me know. and I may post it and just do like a dump. It's not even for the views and stuff like that. It's more so just for the purpose of sharing what I've created. Another thing, y'all, is that I became a consumer. When you become less of a creator, you inherently become more of a consumer. And even with the rise of TikTok, I'll be the first to say it is very easy for me to just sit there and scroll and watch everyone else. It became very easy to do that as opposed to make my. And I realized when I used to create more, when I used to record content more, when I used to really put out content consistently, I didn't really watch other people's content. I didn't. Like, I was recording my own stuff, and that was it. Like, I wouldn't sit down and watch, other people to the extent that I do now. And there's nothing wrong with watching other people, but like I said, I think when you become a consumer, it's easy to become less of a creator. I wanted to say that whoever possibly sees this and cares, thank you. And I hope to be able to share more of my life as it is now. It's very different now. And another reason why I didn't post some of those videos, y'all, is because I was big. I had got big for a second. And it was kind of intentional. But then when I lost some of that weight and looked back at how big I was like, that looked crazy. That looked crazy. And then when I was editing the videos from when I was big, I was looking at them. I was like, I don't want to post this. I don't like how I look. But again, it is what it is. It's the journey in my Tisha Campbell voice. I love everyone that has ever supported me in any way on here, that's ever laughed or giggled or dropped a like or a comment. There are some things that haven't changed. Still don't you forget it. But yeah, I hope to be back and more present. And to the few people that kind of pulled me aside in the past couple months, like, hey, I used to watch your videos, I used to love your videos. Thank you. That's encouraged me in ways that you might not ever even understand. So I love you all, and I'll see you very soon.